I have some very, very close personal friends in this room. I am going to retire as executive director of the horse park effective April 30th. I think that this is the right thing for the park, and I think it's the right thing for me personally. Just to share with you my personal circumstances of why I think this is the timing. I have essentially maxed out on my retirement, and given the fact, as you all know, I have 2 teenage sons who will soon be sooner than I'm ready for, will be heading to college, and it necessitates, I think, that kind of decision for me. For the park, when you think of the last 17 years and all the things that have happened, and then you can begin to be poised for all the things that are going to happen. I took a look and in terms of timing and in discussions with Austin about the right time for transition. We're on the precipice, possibly, of another World Equestrian Games. We heard wonderful things about the hotel. It was clear to me personally that I was not going to be able to be here under any circumstances for the next World Equestrian Games, and probably couldn't be here for the groundbreaking of the hotel, which are 2 wonderful things. And given that, it begins to make sense that we begin this transition. I am committed, and Austin and Secretary Stewart and I have talked about making this, and I am absolutely committed to this, making this a model transition that will be, in my view, just the latest thing that the Kentucky Horse Park has done that serves as a great example for all. I've been a little wistful, not surprisingly, since this decision has been firmly made. And I think about the things that I'm most proud of. And it really kind of hit me. The thing I'm most proud of is that I think we have accomplished is exactly that. We've accomplished it. The whole collective nature that has been a part of the ascendancy of the horse park is the one thing I would point to say I'm glad that I was a part of that atmosphere that promoted total participation. Because as all of you know, this place is an affair of the heart for all of us. And so I think back on all the big things that we have accomplished in the last 17 years. And all of them were a team effort, a big team effort. And that is what makes me the most proud. Now, I have been, in thinking about what has all happened, it's occurred to me that we have done this in a way that one thing builds on the other. In a way, Southern Lights had a role to play in our confidence to bid on the World Equestrian Games. Everything is related to everything. In 1998, we made a major effort to recruit the then American Horse Shows Association from New York, and it was a big effort. I spent a lot of time on the phone with Alan Bosch and with a lot of people, including Crit Llewellyn, who was the Economic Development or the Secretary of the Cabinet and under the Patton administration, worked feverishly to get the economic incentives. And that building block, leading to all the things that have happened here, not just the World Equestrian Games, but the entire increase in the quality and quantity of our horse events. And that whole idea of the collective, of partnerships, lended itself to our clients, to our show managers. If we could turn back the clock to 1997, there would be a lot of things different. There weren't summer hunter jumper shows then. We had May, but not summer hunter jumper shows. Nothing like Young Riders and the pony finals and things of that nature. So it was a step-by-step building process. And the thing that we have done is change the perception of this horse park in a lot of different areas. Clearly, this park is perceived differently in Lexington, in Bluegrass, and in Kentucky than it was 17 years ago. I remember it was still the case that if something good from Frankfurt happened at the park, the leadership of Lexington would say that's money that's been taken away from us. It was almost perverse. Well, that certainly is not the case now. In 1997, we weren't perceived as the world's finest equestrian competition facility. We were still trying to raise our hand to be noticed in the United States, and continue to raise our hand to be noticed in Kentucky sometimes. But all that has happened because of a step-by-step process. When Bill Cook came to my office in early 1998 with an email from a gentleman in San Francisco who was representing the Chinese government, and we had this loony idea that we could get one of the terracotta horses from the Emperor Shen Shihuan's tomb. And we contacted this man who said he could help us. And we ended up going to China, which in itself was a tremendous departure from anything that had happened before. I had a conversation with Li Shou very recently, and he said, I only got to go to Cincinnati. And we had dinner in Xi'an and finding out that the Minister of Culture of China did his doctoral thesis on the role of the horse in Chinese history. That whole episode, and those of you who remember what that gala was like, and remember what that opening, and remember what that summer was like, that gave us the confidence to do big things. And it sent a message to Kentucky, it sent a message everywhere that this is a serious concern. This horse park is not a provincial little thing. And we were rallied to do the British exhibit 3 years later, and that confidence began the process of all the interaction with the FEI and that big effort that came so close to get the 2006 World Equestrian Games, but led to the 2010 Games. I remember when we were told that we had lost on a 3-2 vote to Aachen, Germany. The following year, Rob Hinkle and I went to Aachen and hosted around the table the bureau, the board of the FEI. At that time, frankly, the patent administration was winding down, had some difficulties. We didn't know who was going to be the next governor, if that was going to be supported. We didn't know if it was going to be Ben Chandler or Ann Northrup or Ernie Fletcher or Steve Nunn who were running it. We didn't know who was going to be the next governor, and so we were kind of out there. And at that meeting in Germany, I said to Princess Doña Pilar, I said, this is going to be Kentucky's last bid. It's 2010. Implying where our noses were a little out of joint that we missed. And she said, young man, I would caution you, and you should make your statements more moderate. It took Athens, Greece, 5 times before they were awarded the Olympics. And I said, Your Highness, Kentucky has an entirely different threshold of humiliation than this. And at the end of the meeting, we were getting indications that Kentucky looked pretty strong for 2010, but we really had no authority. And had we decided just not to do that, I'm not sure all that coalescing would have happened for the World Equestrian Games. And clearly, I don't think I have to tell you what the Games have done. I mean, we're sitting in something the Games have done. But more importantly, it was a game changer for Kentucky, a game changer for Lexington, and it wouldn't have happened without the Kentucky Horse Park. And finally, I think people are beginning to realize that. In doing all those things, we kind of had consequences that maybe were wonderful and unintended. We changed the rules on equine pyroplasmosis because we had to, or we wouldn't be having very many international competitions in the United States at all. If it hadn't been for us going to the Gluck Center and Dr. Timoney and him leading the effort nationally and internationally to change the protocol for equine pyroplasmosis, no World Equestrian Games, no stadium, no All-Tech Arena, and our world would have been different. I am very honored to have had the privilege. What I think I'm most honored or at least among the things I'm very honored, is to have worked with the people that I've worked with on the staff. There's a lot. Every time you say Kentucky Horse Park staff, someone will say underpaid and overworked. Okay? We've done that. Okay, we've said that. Everybody gets that. But what we need to be reminded of is that these are among some of the most interesting people that you would ever know. They are highly creative. They are highly intelligent. They are clever in ways that to every day amaze me. This is a remarkable collection of people, well beyond overworked and underpaid. And in their particular fields and the things that they do for the park, they are recognized as the best in the country. And people who do similar things around the country refer to them as the authority. And I think that sometimes is missed. And all the things that they do and all the things that we do have always been about integrity as well. We sometimes forget that this is a state agency. And it's one of the smallest state agencies, but it makes a lot of noise and a lot of influence. And we receive a lot of attention. I'm proud that our agency does not fear open records requests, other than that they're cumbersome. But everything that we do is with the idea that this Kentucky Horse Park is owned by 4 million Kentuckians. And we felt that responsibility and that sense of stewardship. And it's hard. I mean, if you look at those numbers, our revenues just climbed over the last decade and really climbed over the last 17 years or in 20 years. And yet we're dealing with things with less staff than we were then. And yet I would, and it is borne out by the audits and everything that we do, that we can be proud of our stewardship of the public resources. Another reason I think the timing of all this is probably right is that, relatively speaking, such that it ever is, the park is stable. I think the financial report indicated that. The business plan that we laid out 2 years ago, we are exceeding those projections, and I think that too lends itself to effective transition. I have enjoyed playing offense a lot more than defense. Offense is doing China exhibits and World Equestrian Games and British exhibits and recruiting major equestrian associations. But the nature of things has necessitated defense from time to time. Walt Robertson, when he came in following Nina, we had some stuff on our table that we had just signed. We are 6 months before had signed a new food contract with a company named Lundy's. A judge had ruled that all the Calumet trophies must be auctioned off. A photographer in Germany was suing us because we stole his photograph to make our logo. The Division of Water gave us a notice of violation, and we were environmental criminals because of the buildup of muck over the Royal Springs Aquifer. And so the first meeting with Walt, I said, well, there are a couple little things we can do. But we effectively dealt with that, and that was at the beginning, and then we had to play defense here in the last couple of years with dealing with the finances from the construction period and the recession. We navigated through that, and I think came out of the other side of that much stronger, as evidenced by the results from the business plan, which was highly regarded, I think, in Frankfurt, and is, I think, been looked at by other agencies as I think, a good thing to do. And our defense of 1 year ago today, when we had to manage a very unpleasant issue, but we came through that. So I am tempted to tell story after story, but we don't have enough wine. So I'll stop there. But I am very excited about the future of the park. I am here to help with that transition. It's going to be extremely exciting in the years ahead. And I'm extremely enthusiastic about my personal future, which is undefined as yet, but I am confident we'll be adventurous in some form or fashion. I'm grateful to Nina, who allowed me to come here. I remember, she may not remember, but the night of the China Gala, she said to me, you know, truthfully, when you were selected, I wasn't too sure about you. When we looked around that room, she said, I'm feeling a lot better. And I appreciate Walt and Tandy Patrick. I'm grateful to Austin. All of those people, like so many of you, are more than bosses or leaders. They're very, very close personal friends. And I am grateful to all of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you all stand up? Very hard day, okay? And the man needs probably a glass of wine here, because I think I've shook over here more than him. But from the bottom of all of our hearts, and again, if these were raised behind us, these scrims, if you could see that way, just 360 all the way around you, was the landscape he put in place. So, I don't know, there'll be another one like you. You know, hey, they'll obviously, we'll take our time in getting there, but you are always right here with us. So that's the way to do it. Anyway,
Sit down.
thank you.
Well, you know what? Meeting can be adjourned, right?
Well, that's a showstopper, so that's why.
So I think we need a wine, John. Thank you.